In history, there are several common types of secondary sources you may use for research. One is the history monograph, a book by a single author providing an in-depth examination of a single specific topic, which I cover in another video. Other secondary sources include peer-reviewed research articles in history journals, and also theses and dissertations written by graduate students in history to earn their master's degree or PhD. There are a number of ways to search for articles and theses, but this video will focus on searching in a history-specific database. To access the databases related to history, click on the link to databases below the main Find It search box. This will take you to a list of all the subscription databases that are available through the library. Note there are literally hundreds of databases, so to make choosing easier, use the subject dropdown and pick history. I'm going to demonstrate searching in America History and Life, which covers only American and Canadian history. If you're researching a topic in European or African history, for example, you would choose historical abstracts instead. The interface for both is the same, and all the search strategies I'll show will work in either database. Also, you can choose to search both databases at the same time if your topic is related to something like the Caribbean or the Atlantic world that would cross geographic areas. For my first example, I'm searching for information about the role of the Civilian Conservation Corps in South Carolina during and after the Depression. So let's say I type in South Carolina CCC. I get one result. And so I might think that that's all there is available. I mean, my search worked, right? I got a result. But the way you search in a database can drastically affect the results you get. And for better or worse, it doesn't work the same way as a Google search. So in my example, by putting all the words in the first search box, what I told the database to do is to try to find all those words very close together, within 5 words of each other actually, which is really limiting. Also, by using the abbreviation CCC rather than typing out the full name, I'm limiting my results to only those articles that actually use that abbreviation in the title or description somewhere. The database can't interpret what you type in and understand that you mean the Civilian Conservation Corps. It's just looking for matches to what you type in. Finally, unlike searching web pages where all of the text on the page is searched for matches, this database is not searching the full text of the article in most cases. Only the information provided about the article is being searched. Things like the title, the subject terms, and the abstract. This is probably the single biggest difference between using a search engine and using a library database. And it does mean that you will most likely need to adjust the way you normally search a bit. A much more effective strategy will involve putting the words for different concepts in separate boxes. The database will still look for both, but it won't require that they be so close together. So I'm going to type South Carolina in one box and Civilian Conservation Corps in the second box. And with that simple change, I've increased my results from 1 to 7. So let's take a look at what we got. The first article is in the Proceedings of the South Carolina Historical Association. So this database we're in, America History and Life, is actually the only database that includes the Proceedings of the South Carolina Historical Association. So I would definitely recommend using it instead of JSTOR when you're researching a South Carolina topic in particular. The other thing to know is that normally you would click on Check for Full Text to try to get the actual article, but only the print volumes will show up in this case because that's all the library owns. But I happen to know that the Proceedings of the South Carolina Historical Association are available online for free through the SC State Library. You'll need to look at the year in the citation, in this case 2010, and then you can look at a PDF for the proceedings of that year. So now I'm going back to my results and look at the rest. The second result is an article in the South Carolina Historical Magazine, and there's a link to the full text article from JSTOR. Result number 3 might look like another article at first, but if you look carefully, you'll see it's labeled as a dissertation/thesis. Again, a dissertation is the research completed by a graduate student to earn their PhD, and they're great secondary sources. But because they're never actually published like a book or a journal, they're only available through their own specific database, conveniently called dissertations and theses. So again, in this case, clicking on check for full text won't work. But if you copy and paste the title, we can go back to our list of history databases and scroll down under D to find the database Dissertations and Theses Global. So then I'll paste in the title and search. And it is available, including the full text of the PDF. So finally, back to my results in America, History, and Life. I want to talk about the last 3 results of my 7. These are not full-length research articles. They are book reviews. Because publishing books is one of the main things historians do to share their research, academic book reviews are also very common, and you'll almost always see some in your results in this database. Note, the link to full text is to the full text of the 2 to 3 page book review only. This is not a link to the book itself. Feel free to read the review to see if you think the book will be helpful for your research, but to access the book itself, we have to go back to the Find It at U of SC catalog. But first, I'm going to copy the book title, then I'm going to go back to the library's homepage. I'm going to choose an advanced search and find it. And since I want to know if our library has the book, I'm going to limit my search to U of SC libraries. I'm going to change my search field to title, since I know the exact title, and then search. You'll need to scroll down to see the results, and you'll see the library has both the print copy, see the call number, and an ebook available. The last thing I want to talk about is how to vary your search terms and combine them to either expand or improve your results from your initial search. There's no one perfect search that will find everything you need. So in my example, if I want to expand my results beyond articles just written about South Carolina, I could replace South Carolina in my search with something like state parks. So I can find more articles about state parks and the CCC in general. As I scroll through my results, I now see articles about Texas, Florida, and Wisconsin state parks, which may or may not be helpful. But if I take the time to examine my results closely, I find an article at number 9 about the National Park Service's plan to develop state parks nationwide during the Depression. This can provide really helpful context and background to the South Carolina specific information that I've already found. Finally, one of the most effective ways to expand your search is to think of synonyms or additional relevant search terms to use in the database. Let's say I start with a search for desegregation and higher education, keeping my words for different concepts in separate boxes as I explained at the beginning. And with this search, I get 327 results. But if I add or integration so that the database has another relevant word to search for a match, I'll get even more results. Actually, almost 500. Note, I kept the words related to the same concept in the same box. The best way to improve your searches is to try different combinations and examine your results to see what changed. Did you get more or fewer results? Do you know why? Do they seem more relevant to your research? Do you need to try using different words or adding synonyms? Searching is a skill that takes practice, but also remember that librarians are here to help, so don't hesitate to ask when you're not finding what you need.